Greetings, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to talk about cognition. Baishu, arigatou gozaimasu, and welcome back to the 11th year of the Leadership Japan series. I'm your host in Tokyo, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and the three-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Prezen no Tachiden. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muda ni suru no wa yamimashou. And my just-released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery, and all are available on Amazon. This podcast brings insights, examples, and experience about leading in Japan. Trust me, it is different here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We're not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on Apple Podcasts. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show podcast. Tuesday, the Presentation Japan series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcaster Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show podcast. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Before we get going, today's handy Japanese phrase is Gokento kudasai. Gokento kudasai, which means think about it. Please study it. Please check on it. Have a think about it. Gokento kudasai. Gokento kudasai. So you might put up a suggestion or a submission, and you say to the person, Gokento kudasai. Please think about it. Gokento kudasai. Gokento kudasai. Now, this is episode number 573. Today we're talking about what is enclothed cognition and why does it matter to leaders in Japan? I saw a video recently from Rampley and Co in the UK featuring Caryn Franklin, a fashion and identity commentator, talking about something called Enclothed Cognition. When I saw her work title, Fashion and Identity Commentator, and the reference to psychology, I was dubious. I was thinking, here we go, more psychobabble. She referenced a psychology study by Hajo and Galinsky, published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology in July 2012. They looked at the diverse impact that clothes can have on the wearer by proposing that enclothed cognition involves the co-occurrence of two independent factors, the symbolic meaning of the clothes and the physical experience of wearing them. In short, the influence of clothes depends on wearing them and their symbolic meaning. For the leader, this means to me that what I choose to wear impacts how I feel about myself and how I am perceived by those around me. For men in business in Japan, if you're in a white-collar job, you're a white-collar worker, that means wearing a suit. If the choice of suit and all the other accoutrements like shirts, ties, pocket squares, cufflinks, watches, shoes, etc. are important, how much thought do we normally put into it? We all know old sayings like dress for success, and intrinsically we get it. Wearing a suit like a slob, with food stains on the tie and down at heel scuffed shoes, is sending a message about our own self-worth and our professional brand to the public. On the other hand, if we wear a well-cut suit with an overall smart appearance, we feel more confident and more capable, and the research bears this out. If this is the case, then should we be better educated about what we are wearing? When I moved from being a Griffith University Modern Asian Studies PhD candidate to graduating and getting my first real corporate job, I had no idea what to wear. I never saw my father wear a suit to work, and I didn't grow up with any concepts about men's classic clothing. Brisbane is a hot and humid climate, so generally everyone dressed for the weather, and I did too. One small blessing was that I had the self-awareness to know I was clueless. I went to see Mitchell Ogilvie, who at that time had his men's clothing store in Upper Ebbett Street in Brisbane. Had the dark wood panelling, leather chairs, and was very swish. I explained that I was about to start work at Jones Lang Wooten, but had no appropriate clothing to suit the work. Mitch assured me he was dressing many of the directors there, so he knew exactly what I needed to buy to blend in. He did a good job. Thanks, Mitch. And I always felt I was one of the better dressed employees there, and this helped my confidence in how I was regarded. Find out more. We come back from the break. Today's show is brought to you by our public courses, but we also do custom in-house programs. We do them in Japanese and we do them in English, do them in our super safe classroom. We do them live online. Our show today is being brought to you on the 12th and 13th of September by our High Impact Presentations course. Also, starting on the 13th will be our 12-week Dale Carnegie course. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. So that's www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. You can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. So that's greg.story, S-T-O-R-Y, at dalecarnegie.com. If you like learning by watching videos, then we have over 2,300 there for you at Tokyo, Japan, Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's the premier business show in Japan, every Monday, Tokyo time. Fridays, we have the Japan Business Mastery Show, and on Saturdays, we release Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from SMEs right up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Now, every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget to grab my business best-selling books on Japan on Amazon. Japan Sales Mastery, which is Saegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Presen no Tachijin. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muda ni suru wa yamemashou, and my just released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery, and all are available on Amazon. Welcome back. Around that time, the Prime Minister of Australia became Paul Keating from the Labor Party. He, like me, grew up in modest circumstances, and yet he managed to get to the highest position in the land. I read somewhere that, unlike his predecessors, he didn't wear suits made in Australia, but wore Italian suits by Ermenegildo Zegna. When I would see him on television in the Parliament giving speeches, he always looked very sharp and better dressed than his Tory political opponents. I decided I would wear Zegna suits too. I've been a client for 30 years, and their size 52 fits me like it was designed for my body. It gave me confidence, even when I was out of my depth, that at least I looked like I knew what I was doing. Had I ever planned my wardrobe with my personal brand in mind? Not really. I just accumulated suits over the years, especially when traveling to Italy on holiday. I would wear them out and simply buy a replacement. Over the last decade, I've started to add more custom suits and started to think more about what I'm wearing and why. I wish I'd done this much earlier, given the psychology of how you feel based on what you're wearing and how people regard you professionally regarding your public brand. I often get compliments about how well I'm dressed, and earlier this year I started a blog on social media called Fare Bella Fugira, Master First Impressions, Be a Sharp-Dressed Man. I was highly hesitant to launch it because I've never seen a businessman like myself, completely unrelated to the clothing business, talking about what he was wearing and why. The premise was that people make snap judgments about us based on how we look before we even get a chance to open our mouths. So why not do more to control that first impression? At that time, I wasn't aware of this research by Adam and Galinsky, but instinctively felt that what I choose to wear was impacting my confidence and my image with others before I had a chance to speak with them. If it makes a difference, as leaders, we need to make the most of this opportunity to increase our strength internally and externally vis-a-vis our business rivals. It requires study and dough to do it, but if we take the long-term view, it is doable. Don't be like me and work all this out too lethargically. Instead, work on assembling your classic men's clothing armor in Japan and wade into battle, duking it out with your competition and win. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then tell your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. You can contact me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. Until the next episode, take what you thought valuable, put it into action, because idea application is what makes winners winners. So be one of them. Remember, I'm in your corner, your go-to guy for soft skills training in Tokyo, committed to your success here in Nippon.